5, Saturdays 4 till 7 o'clock. It was our favorite song, man. It's around about 10 before we hit 2 p.m. You tuned in with me, Sands, right here on CTFM on a 5.8. My campus, my youth, my radio is where you're at. Now, I did mention that Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs is conducting nationwide public hearings on the Electoral Amendment Bill. Now, the committee will hold the Free State leg of the hearings in different districts, and they started today here on Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality. Now, the bill seeks to introduce amendments to the Electoral Act 73 of 1998 after the Constitutional Court ruled that it was unconstitutional by not allowing independent candidates to contest for elections to the National Assembly and provincial legislatures. Now, the court gave Parliament 24 months, that's 2 years, to remedy the defect. Now, joining me in studio, I am joined by the leader of the delegation of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, Ms Anthea Ramolobeng. Ms Anthea, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the viewers for having us here today.
How are you feeling today?
A bit excited and happy with the turnout that we had in Mangaung regarding the process of the amendment bill.
Now, let's talk about it. How did we get here, to this point? From the time the Constitutional Court ruled on the constitutionality, oh, that's a big word right there, for the Electoral Act.
We're mainly here primarily because of the Constitutional Court judgment regarding the matter, which was found that the Electoral Act was unconstitutional because of it prevented independent candidates from partaking in the process or standing for provincial or national elections. Following that judgment, the Minister of Home Affairs appointed a Ministerial Advisory Committee, which is MEC, we call it MEC, which the committee made various recommendations regarding the Electoral Amendment Bill, which must be considered by the public. The committee then decided to visit all provinces to enable members of the public to give inputs or submissions towards the bill regarding the matter of the independent candidate. Following this, that's why we're doing the Free State leg. We're coming from KZN, we've done Northern Cape, we're now here in the Free State, starting with.
I heard that it seeks to introduce amendments to the Electoral Act 73 of 1998, right? Let's talk about some of the key issues that the bill seeks to remedy.
One of the key issues that the bill seeks to remedy is to legislate the participation of independent candidates in provincial and national elections, so that it does not only afford political parties only to partake. Any citizen that wants to partake in the process are allowed to. That's one of the things that it wants to the key elements it wants to set out. And also, it is essentially to set out all electoral processes that should be followed by independent candidates regarding the deposit money to partake in the process, and regarding also the thresholds of the process to be on the ballot.
Right, so basically like here in varsity, we have like independent candidates, they're running for presidency, SLC presidency, I absolutely like it. Now, the first leg, like you've mentioned, took place here at Mangaung Metro Municipality. Why is it important for public to consult Parliament to consult with the public? We saw the public, they came through, and they had their public submissions as well. They gave you their public submissions as well today. Why is it important for Parliament to consult with the public when processing a bill?
Look, this is to ensure that the laws we eventually pass represents the will of the people, which is the public in this regard, and give meaning to the promise of Parliament for the people of the people. The Constitution in Section 59 subtract 1A and 72 subtract 1A compels Parliament to, in the execution of its mandate, include the broader public in participation processes. Hence, we find ourselves here.
Alrighty. Now, we heard that the court gave Parliament 24 months, that's 2 years, to remedy the defect. And there's been a lot of criticism, even on social media, that the committee waited for a long time to take this bill to the people. What's the committee's response on this?
Look, this is incorrect, because of this bill was only tabled in January this year, in 2020. Also, the reality is that quality takes time, and we have to be satisfied with the output or the end results of the product. So we have done oral submissions towards end of February, and now doing public hearings across the country, which the other team, that is the delegation that is led by the portfolio committee chair, Musa Chabani, they've done Limpopo, they've done Mpumalanga, they're now in Gauteng, started the leg of Gauteng. We've done KZN, Northern Cape, we've started now with the Free State Lake. So that the broader community in the country gets to be represented in the process. So it's not entirely correct.
Okay.
That
Now,
they've taken time.
let's talk about the public's response. I'm interested in that. Are people coming through? How's the public's response?
Look, the public is coming through. When we started in KZN, I'll speak on the delegation that I'm part of. When we started in KZN, we had a glitch of people being in numbers, but that was rectified as and when it goes. People are making submissions towards the bill. People are either supporting or rejecting, but they're doing that with amendments to it. If they're supporting, there would be one or two things that they raise regarding the bill that needs to be considered by the committee. And even when they reject that submission, they equally do the similar thing. So you get actually from today's session, I was like, we interacted with one of the applicants who took the electoral bill to court, which was quite, for me, a learning point to hear from their point of view in that meeting, what led to them taking the matter to court and what they seek to achieve instead of being in a written format.
Yeah.
So the public, it is responsive towards the public hearings.
That's good to hear. Now let's talk about those that could not make it to today, right? What's going to happen, and what is the committee willing to do to cater for them who were unable to appear, or to appear and of course raise their concerns as well and their submissions as well today?
Look, the committee, when it started with the amendment bill, it set out interviews, it took out, an advert, in a sense introducing those who want to make submissions, oral submissions to it or written submissions to it, and unfortunately that process has passed. So we have done the last leg of February where those who would have written to Parliament making their submissions, we've given them an opportunity through virtually to make that oral submissions. So now we're dealing with the public hearing, which is the last step of the process.
Righty. First leg, it was here at the Mango Metro Municipality.
Yes.
Where to next?
We are off tomorrow. We're in Senegal from 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock, conducting the same public hearings as today. And on Wednesday, we're in Kronstadt. The same process as well. So people of Free State, those who did not make it today in Mangaung, can still get a chance to be in Senegal tomorrow, and again get a chance to be in Kronstadt on Wednesday before we finalize.
In closing, what would you like to say, your last words, to anyone that's listening out there, especially those who still want to make their views to be heard on the bill as well?
Look, I would encourage all South African, especially community of Free State, to come through and raise their views regarding the amendment electoral bill, especially towards the process of the independent candidates, whether in their participation in the national and provincial legislatures or government. What is it that requires for them to do? Do we give them equal rights as political parties, or they have an exceptions regarding the issues of deposit? What happens? This is a process of the public that must advise Parliament on how it should be. So I would encourage every single member or any organizations they found themselves in, MPOs, NGOs, to come forth and we hear their submissions, we hear their views. We're not the ones that are going to make submissions. Ours, we've done that in the committee, and we'll do that in the finalization of all of this after all this process would have done. Us now as the committees to come to the community and hear them how they would want this electoral amendment bill to go about.
Alrighty, thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today on the show.
Thank you for having me, and thank you to all listeners.
Alrighty, that was the leader of the delegation of the Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs, Ms Anthea Ramolobeng, telling us about the countrywide public hearings that her committee is currently busy conducting. Make sure if you missed out today's session, head on over to Senegal tomorrow. 10 o'clock until 1 o'clock. Still the midday experience with me, Garabo Sands. Just gone 2 o'clock. When we come back, music from Crania, Miza, and of course, midday talk is also on the way.
The midday experience.